I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'd like to welcome all of you here this evening and invite you to ask questions as we go down the agenda of the things that are on the agenda. And you will notice that item number 4 is your opportunity to address the council on things that are not on the agenda. So please feel free to do so. I'd like to begin with roll call.
Councilman Brenny?
Here.
Frederick?
Here.
Hanson?
Here.
Johnston?
Here.
Muska?
Here.
Okay.
Item number 2, consent of agenda. A is the approval of the agenda. B is the approval of minutes of the January 26, 2009 council meeting. And C is the claims. Is there any questions or discussions on any of these items?
I'll make the motion to approve the consent of the agenda A through C.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Call for a vote.
Councilman Frederick?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
Muska?
Yes.
Brenny?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Number 3 is projects, and A is the airport electrical vault building project. Number 1 is the consideration of a grant offer and agreement by the FAA in the amount of $102,790. I would tell you that I've been informed that that is the maximum amount available, and that does not necessarily mean we will get that total amount. But they are applying for a grant, and we need a motion and a second to accept and sign this agreement.
I'd like to know what the grant's about.
Okay? They're building a vault building at the airport.
That
Would
is
you
correct.
like to address that? You're on the
They-
airport commission.
And I'm still up in the air with what's actually going on with it, but they were making a vault building to get all the wiring, Jim, in one central location for all the hangars. And this was a project that was on the capital improvement, a 5-year plan, and it happened to be up this year. They got some bids on a couple of the different designs of the building, and I'm surprised to actually see it being on the agenda tonight, because I didn't think we were at that stage yet with it to have enough information. I don't have enough information on the vault, because there was talk about whether or not they did need it, or they were going to do it, or they weren't going to do it, and I'm actually surprised to see it actually on here.
Well, the people that work at the airport came to see me at least a week ago and presented this information to me for my signature, and I said I couldn't sign it because it hadn't been presented to the council.
Okay?
Adam, would you like to visit about it at all? He's told me that the amount would be $95,000.
The way the grant works is there's 110% built into it. It's actually a grant fund for roughly about $95,000, and there's an anticipation that it cannot exceed $102,790 is actually the way the agreement in here reads.
And our cost is what?
Would be 2.5%
2.5%
of the project.
And I visited with Matt Wallace, is he the chair of the commission out there?
And that's built into their budget.
And he'd mentioned that the FAA wants a building that is fireproof, that houses the electrical, and he said it's for the lighting too, that in the event that the lights would go down, this breaks it into 2 separate circuits, such that if they would lose lights, it would be just 50% that's going out and the other half would still survive it. So they want the worst case scenario, what could happen, and yet not lose, power to the lighting system. So he considered that as a necessity for that type of arrangement, plus the fireproof, which is not currently, I understand, not under a fireproof situation out there. And it's going to be located between the
rental house?
the rental house and then the shop where they do the maintenance.
Do they have the money in their budget to do it then?
For their portion,
For
and
2.5%.
this is anticipated in our side for our portion, yes.
Well, they must be negotiating then, I guess, the size of the building, what size the vault needed to be, because that's the process we were at that last meeting a month ago. So I was assuming we were going to meet again as the committee of the airport commission before we presented it here.
I would say to make that's probably the point of the second consideration under the project is they're probably looking at actually signing an agreement with an engineer for the purposes of making final
Okay.
determinations on the size of the size and scope and design of the actual facility. Because they wouldn't be able to do that without an engineering services, which is the purpose of actually hiring an engineer to come in and help you with those decisions.
Brian, the rest of them think it's needed?
I'm sorry?
The rest of them think it's needed to meet it?
Yeah, mainly exactly what Bill was saying. It's regulated by the FAA. I mean, we have to do something, but some of the comparisons of the vault buildings that they've had was a comparison to the one they had in Denison, where it was a complete block structure, and the cost just seemed to be outrageous. So we wanted to go and get the minimum size that we could get to benefit the dollar that was going to be being spent. Just to give you an idea, just a hangar out there, that a project they were looking on for capital improvements was in the neighborhood of over $600,000. That's a hangar. I mean, that's a little steep.
Well, if I'm understanding this correctly, this is FAA money. It's coming from the grant.
Right. I just didn't know that they were ready to move that quick.
Do we have any additional questions or comments about it?
I'd like to just wait until our representative knows more about it himself.
Do
Whatever.
we want to table it, Adam? Is there a time frame here that they're working under?
I can't answer that without talking to you.
I'll contact Julie.
Okay, we will table,
If there's a time frame on it where it's time sensitive, let's see, we're 2 weeks away from the next meeting, and then the 19th we have another meeting.
Possibly, yes.
can we put it on that agenda?
If you'd like, yes.
Okay,
And then if it's time sensitive, perhaps we need to call a special meeting. Is that acceptable if we have to?
That's fine with me. I'll get the information. I'll call her after tonight's meeting and have an answer for you in the morning.
okay, then we will table A and move on to item number 4, which is the citizens' opportunity to address the council on items not on the agenda. Okay, we move on to item 5, licenses and permits. A, HED Inc., DBA Saks BP, Class C beer permit with Sunday sales. John, any comments? That's Pronto or the Green Station?
Never a problem.
Okay. Council, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Call for a vote?
Councilman Johnston?
Yes.
Muska?
Yes.
Branny?
Yes.
Frederick?
Yes.
Hanson? Motion carried.
Thank you. Item number 6, miscellaneous. Under miscellaneous, we have A, opportunity for the public to address the council on proposed sanitary sewer rates. Adam has a presentation that he would like to give before we take questions or comments. So, Adam, we need to have just a couple minutes to get the equipment up and going. It takes a couple minutes for that to get warmed up. So,
Take her away.
give us a couple seconds here.
Would you mind actually?
You got it. You don't want me right on the spot like that?
Tomorrow. See that one after I know. Yeah, it's pretty come on, come on.
You guys don't mind being in the dark over here?
Camera's still rolling. How's everybody doing back here? Check us out on the SACBoards.com.
Dark eye, it might not be.
I don't think so. Can you see it?
I think you're gonna need to kill it.
Ooh, that was just in there.
There we go.